This interview is for the Westchester Area School District Legacy Project. What is your name, school, and year of graduation from high school?
My name is John Spangler. I graduated in 1964 from what we all called Westchester High School and what you guys probably call Henderson now.
How did you get to
Go ahead.
How did you get to school?
Well, when I started going to school in elementary school, I took a bus. As we got older and some of our friends got cars, we occasionally rode in their cars. Sometimes we even walked.
What did the school buses look like?
Remarkably, the school buses look almost exactly like what they did back then. They were yellow and kind of creaky, but they got us to school on time.
What subjects did you take in middle and high school?
In middle school, we just took pretty basic stuff, math, geography, history, English, some science. We also had art and music.
So what did you take in high school?
Pretty much the same thing. Some of the history courses were a little different. We had, for instance, what we called problems of democracy, or what the kids called at the time POD, which was just a discussion of political issues in the country and how we resolve political issues in the United States. It's a pretty good course.
How many students were in your graduating class?
Well, I think it was probably between 400 and 500, but I'm not really sure. There's a lot of students.
What grades went to elementary, middle, and high school?
We had 6 years in elementary school. We had 3 years in what we called junior high school, which was 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th. There was no middle school. We didn't do middle schools.
How was your school experience different from the way it is today?
Well, obviously, for one thing, we didn't have television stations. One thing that I noticed when I came into your school this morning, I had to come through a locked door. We didn't have locked doors. We just came and went. Even in high school, we were sometimes allowed to leave the school grounds to go across the street and kind of hang out. So it was probably a little bit less formal than it is now.
What was your most memorable experience at school? And it can be good or bad.
Well, actually, the most memorable experience, you gave me this list, and I was thinking about that, what was most memorable. I think it wasn't a single experience. It was probably the English class I had in 10th grade at Henderson, taught by a teacher named Mr. Gambone, and it was the first experience I had in education where a teacher treated the students as more or less as partners in education, and it became apparent that learning could be a lot of fun just in and of itself, and that memory has kind of stuck with me throughout my life.
When you went to school, were the schools segregated by race or gender in any way?
When I started in elementary school, the elementary schools were run separately by different municipalities. So I grew up in West Goshen Township, and that meant I went to West Goshen Elementary School. That is the building that is now, I believe, the administration center for the Westchester School District on Paoli Pike. That used to be an elementary school. The other elementary schools were scattered around. There were 4 in Westchester, and because they drew kids from their particular neighborhoods, some of the schools had a predominance of African Americans and others a predominance of Caucasian children, so there was sort of a de facto segregation. Some of the schools had many more minority students than others. The school I went to only had 2 or 3. The school that was located on Gay Street was almost 100% African American. I think this school is named after the principal of Gay Street School, Mr. Fugit. As we went forward into junior and senior high school, that wasn't the case. That was the high school covered a much broader area, so it was pretty much fully integrated with blacks and whites.
Did you go on field trips, and if so, where?
We went on field trips. The only one I really remember was a field trip to New York City. That was a lot of fun. I do recall also going to Hershey Park. We would go into Philadelphia to Franklin Institute and the zoo and things like that. Yeah, we took quite a few field trips actually. Back on.
What after-school activities did you participate in, if any?
In junior high school, I played a lot of sports. I played football and basketball and baseball. By the time I got to high school, I was kind of small and kind of slow, so I didn't play those sports, but I did run cross country. And in my senior year in high school, we actually started a male cheerleading squad. I think it was the first male cheerleading squad in the Chestnut League at that time. We started it because we had friends who were the female cheerleaders, and we used to criticize them, and they said, if you think you can do better, why don't you do it? So we took them up on their challenge and did it. And it turned out we had a lot of fun.
Cool. Do you remember any bullying or kids getting teased in school?
Yeah, I do. It happened. I don't think people realized it being as much of a problem as it may have been back then, but it certainly went on. I think kids back then tended to deal with issues like that on their own, but by dealing with it on their own, I'm sure there were some of my classmates who couldn't deal with it that we just didn't know about, and it just wasn't recognized as that big of a problem, but yes, it went on.
Okay. Thank you for your time, and that concludes this interview for today.
Thank you.